Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to pretty much do the list that I've been waiting to do for a little while now, my favorite current players in the NHL. Quick side note though, I did surpass my goal of 200 subscribers, and I will be giving away a jersey here. This jersey right here. It's right in the box. I promise. It's in there. I don't know what it is, so I was going to say, do you want me to open it up and find out? Or you want me to leave it and just whoever gets it, they can open it? Because the story was I had ordered the Detroit jersey. A few people guessed it. Pro Hockey Life emailed me saying that they didn't actually have the size that I'd ordered. So I told them just to send me any one of them. So they did. And now I don't know what one it is. So my next day off next week or so, I'll figure out how to do the giveaway. And I will be giving it away next week. And I'll hopefully have it shipped out within the next 2 weeks here. You're pretty much eligible right up until I do a video next week when I figure out how to give it away. But back to today's reason I'm here. My favorite players from the current players in the NHL. Alright, so back to the reason we're here today. My favorite players. A few years ago, this list would have been very different. There would have been players like Evgeny Malkin or Alex Radulov or Marian Gaborik, Patrick Kane, Derek Brassard, players like that who are a little bit older and who are no longer on this list. I do still have some players who are a little bit older. I couldn't take all of them off. But it is quite a younger aged for some of the players on this list. So, like the other ones, we will be doing 3 goalies, 8 defensemen, and 14 forwards. So kind of like a roster for a team. Not exactly, but close enough. We'll get things started off here with the goaltenders. Oh, quick side note as well. I was in Saskatchewan for a couple days for my best friend's wedding. One of my best friend's wedding. I did pick up 2 jerseys, and I will show you guys those a little later on. Probably not in this video though. Alright, starting off with the goalies. At number 3, I put Oscar Dansk at number 3. I'm going to switch that off simply because of the fact that he is put on waivers, and I'm not quite sure if he'll be playing in Vegas. I don't imagine he'll get a lot of ice time, barring injuries like last year. So, just for the sake of keeping it with players who are in the NHL, at least for this spot, I'm going to put one of my older favorites, Henrik Lundqvist, at the number 3 spot. There's absolutely, what can you say? He's the king for a reason. He's just a handsome man. Number 2, from the Vancouver Canucks, Jacob something Markstrom. I really like him. When he was drafted and played in Florida, I was really excited. I thought he was going to be great there, be their goalie of the future. Didn't quite work out, got traded in the Luongo deal, and I think he's played relatively well in Vancouver, and it's weird to me to say this, but I'm kind of starting to like Vancouver a little bit. Just a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And Markstrom is one of the reasons why. My favorite goalie in the NHL, though, is currently playing for the Boston Bruins. He just signed there for this past offseason. He's been my favorite goalie since 2007, 2008, Yaroslav Halak. When he first broke into the NHL, the first thing that stood out to me was his really sweet mask that he had with the Canadiens. That run that he went on in 2010 was out of this world. I really liked him in St. Louis. He only sat on the bench in Buffalo, didn't really do a whole lot in Washington, and played relatively well for the Islanders, and we'll see what he can do for the Bruins. He looked good in the preseason, especially in the game against Calgary. So I'm super excited. Although I'm not a big Bruins fan, I think he should do pretty good there. Moving on to the defensemen. At number 8, I did have Johan Ovitu, one of the French players, but he's since left and went to the KHL. So I'm going to bump up Oliver Ekman-Larsson, the new captain for the Coyotes, at the number 8 spot. I've liked him for quite a while now as well. I think he's a really solid defenseman, and I think he'll do great as the captain for the Coyotes. So at number 7, Hampus Lindholm from the Anaheim Ducks. Again, one of the players that I've followed since he broke into the league as a rookie. He's played relatively well. I got to see him play last year, and he did score a goal against the Flames, and I was pretty happy. I will be getting Lindholm put onto my Ducks third jersey, the orange one. And moving on, number 6, right? Yeah, number 6, Aaron Ekblad from the Florida Panthers. First overall pick from a few years ago. I just think he's one of the best defensemen out there. I would love to have him on any team that I cheered for, whether it is New York, LA, Vegas, Florida. So I got lucky with that one. I'm really, really happy that he was drafted by Florida. Hopefully concussions and injuries don't slow him down, because I think he's only going to get better if he can stay healthy. Alright, so number 5, I have another player who also just signed in Boston in the offseason as well. John Moore is one of my favorite defensemen when he got traded to the Rangers. I will always remember that game because he scored his first goal as a Ranger. Derek Brassard scored his first goal as a Ranger, and I think Ryan Clough might have had 2 goals in his first game as a Ranger against the Penguins. One of the craziest games that I've ever watched, simply for the fact that all the people that they acquired on the trade deadline, they all scored. John Moore is, a solid 5'6". I know he's not going to be in anyone's top 2 on their defense pairings, but there's just something I've really liked him when he played in Phoenix or Arizona. I do want to get his name put onto my New Jersey Devils jersey, and I'm kind of disappointed that he signed in Boston, but at least he's got Halak there, so now I have 2 players that I really like playing for Boston, so that's okay. Number 4, I have a Russian player that I've watched before he was ever in the NHL, and I was highly disappointed when he signed with Toronto, because I'm not a big Toronto fan. Number 22, Nikita Zaitsev. I saw him play a couple times in the Spengler Cup. He was representing CSKA Moscow. CSKA, yeah, that's the right one. Too many Moscow teams to keep straight. He's played for Novosibirsk as well, and I was really excited when he announced that he was coming over to the NHL. Wasn't happy that he went to Toronto. I was hoping he'd go somewhere else. Again, he's a player who's probably not in anyone's top 2 or shouldn't be in anyone's top 2, but I think he's a solid 3 or 4 kind of guy. I will probably be getting him on my White Maple Leafs jersey as well. But moving on, what number are we at? Number 3. This player really, really grew on me this past season. Shane Gostisbehere, the Ghost Bear from Philadelphia. I do have his jersey down there, and he's one of the players that I really wanted to like, but I didn't like that he was in Philly, so I was kind of holding off on getting a Gostisbehere jersey. I was kind of hoping he would change his number. I don't like that number that he wears. But it looks like he's staying in Philly for a while, and it doesn't look like he's going to be changing his number anytime soon. So I just came to, accept that, and, I love him. He is so fun to watch. Out of all the defensemen on this list, I think he's probably my favorite to watch. But I don't think he's the best one on my list. Number 2, definitely not the best one on my list. He's a really good 5'6" defenseman again. Not going to set the world on fire. Honestly, he could be a healthy scratch at times. Nathan Beaulieu, the Buffalo Sabres, then Montreal Canadiens. He was one of the players I thought Montreal rushed and kind of expected too much too soon from him. I could be wrong about that, but from my perspective, at least that's kind of what happened. I really like him. I hope he does do well this year, and I hope Buffalo kind of turns a corner, and I hope he helps them. But my favorite defenseman in the NHL right now, from the Nashville Predators, Roman Josi. This is a player, again, that I watched as soon as he came into the NHL and was just astounded. That's right? I was astounded at how Nashville kept producing these amazing defensemen. This past year at the World Championships, when Roman Josi went and started playing for Switzerland after the Predators were eliminated, that team just drastically turned and they went to the final. Fortunately, they did not win. That would have been really cool if they would have got the gold medal. But as soon as he got there, their team took a huge step forward. This is my personal list of players I like. It's not necessarily the best players in the NHL, but I think, honestly, Roman Josi is the best defenseman in the NHL. I don't think there's a better defenseman out there. I think he's better than Subban. I think he's better than Doughty, Carlson. He might not put up the numbers like Burns will or Carlson would. All around, his overall game, I think he's the best. He can do a little bit of everything. And I think he's a great captain, and I would love to get a Josi jersey at some point. Again, though, I hate his number. I wish he would wear number 90 like he does for Switzerland in Nashville. I don't know what it is with number 53 and 59, and that's just weird numbers. I don't like them. Alright, moving on to the forwards. Alright, and the forwards. Number 14, this one was a really difficult one to pick. I contemplated Lars Eller, Sven Andrighetto. There's a few players that I really liked that was, fighting for this last spot on my, fancy list here. But I did decide to give it to Victor Arvidsson of the Nashville Predators, simply because of the playoffs that he had this year. Unbelievable. Some of the goals he scored really reminded me of Paul Kariya. Some of his, I don't know what it was, but I thought he was really fun to watch. And I'm happy he switched his number to 33. It looks way better than 38. So for that, I think he deserves a spot. Number 14. Moving on to number 13, the youngest player on my list from the Rangers. I'm super, super excited about him. Elias Anderson. I think he is potentially one of their best players, or prospects, or whatever you want to call it, for the future. I definitely will be getting his jersey sooner rather than later, I hope. Regardless if he switches from number 50 or not. He was probably most known for tossing his medal into the crowd at the World Juniors. Didn't get the gold medal, and he did not want his silver medal. A lot of people were kind of riled up by that. I kind of liked it. First of all, it's his medal. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. But, it shows that he won't settle for second best. He wants to win, and I think that's a great quality to have in a player on my favorite team. Alright, so number 12, I picked Michael Grabner, bit of an older player. I honestly was not a big Grabner fan until he came to the Rangers. His time he was drafted by Vancouver, didn't really care for him. Islanders did not like him. Leafs definitely did not like him. When he came to the Rangers, that's when he's probably had the best part of his career for the better half of 2 seasons, or a year. About a year and a half he was there, right? Got traded to the Devils, didn't play particularly well. Signed with the Coyotes this past offseason, and I'm super excited and would love to get Grabner on a Coyotes or Devils jersey, or Rangers jersey, really, for that matter. He's super, super fast, really speedy, excellent shot, and I've really grown to like him, and I hope he does well this upcoming year. Number 11, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare for Vegas Golden Knights. He was one of the players I was super excited when he announced he was coming to the NHL as well. Again, though, he signed with a team that I wasn't particularly a big fan of, the Flyers, and he had a stupid number with number 78. Didn't like that either. As soon as he went to Vegas, not that I didn't like him in Philly, he was probably my favorite player on Philly for a while. But as soon as he went to Vegas, he went back to his number 41, which he wore on the French national team. And I think he honestly could be one of their choices or considerations for the first captain or captain down the road in Vegas. Definitely not going to set the world on fire with his points, but he's a very, very solid penalty killer. Very good bottom 6, bottom 9 forward. I'd say bottom 6. He probably will never get to the second line. But I really, really like him, and I'm super happy that he's in Vegas and not in Philly. Sorry, Flyer fans. Alright, so number 10, I have Nikita Kucherov. He's one of the bigger star power names on this list that I have. When he first came into the NHL, he was wearing number 56. Then eventually he went to 86, which was a little bit better. And he's been just out of this world. He almost makes Stamkos, irrelevant almost. Like, he's that good. Fortunately for the Tampa Bay Lightning, they have Stamkos too. And together those two are just unbelievable. They are so much fun to watch. They are pretty much a mirror opposite of each other, one being right-handed and the other being left. Man, you throw Tyler Johnson or an Andre Palat into that mix, Braden Point. Tampa's scary. But I personally really like Nikita Kucherov. Alright, so at number 9, I have one of the players who plays here in Calgary, Michael Backlund. He's a player that when he came into the NHL, almost instantly me and some of my friends thought he was captain material. He played really well. He was really underrated, I thought. I think he still is, to be honest. I think he's just all around. He's almost the perfect second line center. He's not a top line center. He's not a top 3 guy. Eventually he'll probably kind of get to that age where he needs to be, top 9 maybe. He goes down to the third line. But I think he's just really underrated, and I think he's such a smart player. And from everything I've heard, autograph signings and things like that, he's just one of the nicest people as well. Listening to some of his interviews here on the radio station in Calgary, him and his wife seem like really nice people. So for that reason alone, number 8. Another reason I'm starting to like Vancouver. Another former Flame, right there, Sven Barchi. When Barchi came in with the Flames, he's a Swiss player. I really like Swiss and French players, it seems like. No exception with Barchi. He didn't really work out that well in Calgary. I don't know if he was given really necessarily the best chance, but I think in Vancouver he will be given the chance, and I think he's been given some of that chance already, and I think he's worked out pretty well there. Will he get to 30 goals every year? I don't think so. He's probably a 20-25 goal scorer for the most part, I think. And I hope he has a really good year, and I hope Vancouver... I can't believe I'm saying this. I kind of want Vancouver to do good. Alright, so number 7, Sebastian Aho from the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, a really young player. I think he's probably one of the bright spots on a team that I don't think is going to do well this year. I do think he'll probably get to 25-30 goals if he stays healthy. I remember last year he got off to a really slow start, and I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. And then he pretty much, set the Hurricanes on fire. He pushed them as best as he could to try to help them get to the playoffs. They didn't really even come close. But he did his part, and I think he'll do his part again this upcoming season as well. Number 6, the Columbus Blue Jackets, Artemi Panarin. When he came into the NHL, I was super excited. Again, he was one of the players that I got to see a couple times playing for St. Petersburg. He was on Evgeny Dodonov's line and Vadim Shapachov's line as well. They absolutely just tore it up, won championships in the KHL, and I was super, super happy that he was coming over to the NHL. Signed with Chicago. I do want to get him on my Chicago Stadium Series jersey, and I do want to get a white Columbus jersey with him on it as well. He's one of the few players that I would consider getting a second jersey for that I would already have. I usually don't like getting the same player twice, with a few exceptions, and he would be one of them. I think he is just absolutely out of this world. Alright, so speaking of Panarin, that kind of leads into this next pick at number 5. Yes, number 5, Evgeny Dodonov. Again, he's one of the players that I saw very briefly when he played for Florida earlier on in his career. Left to go to the KHL and played for the Ukrainian team, and then he went to St. Petersburg. I didn't think he'd ever come back to the NHL. And then he did, and he signed back with the Florida Panthers, which was kind of a surprise because at the end of his time in the NHL the first time around, he got traded to the Hurricanes. And he never played a game for the Hurricanes, so he's not officially a member of their history, I guess, or whatever. But I was surprised that he went back to the team that did trade him. I guess he might have maybe still knows some people down in Florida, or maybe has a house down there. I don't know why he went back, but I'm glad he did, and he is absolutely out of this world. I think he can probably be a 30-goal scorer as well. Had an absolute, insane year for his first year back in the NHL. I think he played the way Vegas expected Shapachov to play. Didn't quite work out for Vegas, but it did work out really good for Florida. Just a side note, it's pronounced, or said, however you want to call it, he's Evgeny Dadonov, not Dadonov. I hate that. It drives me absolutely out of this world. It's a big pet peeve of mine. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm going to leave it alone. If you want to call him Dadonov, you go right ahead, but I probably won't be your friend. Alright, number 4. He's one of the players that I honestly didn't think would be on this list a year ago. When Vegas drafted him, I didn't think really anything of it. But William Karlsson. I have his jersey hanging up here right now. And, man, I knew about him in Columbus. I did not know that he played for the Ducks before Columbus. That one was news to me when I kind of started looking into this guy who was tearing up the NHL last year, and he will always be one of my favorites now. Regardless if he falls out of this list or retires or doesn't score 40 goals or even 20 goals ever again, he'll have a spot on my list for quite a while. The way he played last year was just absolutely out of this world. I think expectations have to be tempered a little bit. I don't think he'll get 40 goals again. I hope he does. I think he can do 30 though. But yeah, he was a real treat to watch last year, and it'll be interesting to see what him and Vegas both do this year. Number 3. Guy hanging up beside Karlsson jersey, Kevin Fiala. Again, one of the Swiss players. When he came into the NHL, again, he had number 56, didn't like the number, and then he went to 22 this past season. But regardless, he was going to be on this list either way, whether he switched numbers or not. He is really fun to watch. He had a chance to win the gold medal for Switzerland, and he that close to doing it, and it just didn't quite work out for him. This past season, though, he had got off to a bit of a slow start, and eventually, about 20 games in, he started to really pick it up, and he put up quite a few goals, and I think he played extremely well. And I think that's only going to get better for him from here on out. Super fun to watch. Little bit concerning. I think he might have an individual mindset over a team mentality. But he's really, really fun to watch, and I think he'll have a great year. And I'm super excited. I'm very happy to have his Nashville jersey. So number 2, the one player that'll probably eventually take over the number 1 spot here once number 1 retires, Jonas Donskoy. He is really, really fun to watch. He's the one player on this list that I have that every time he touches a puck, I'm right on the edge of my seat. I think he's such a smart player. Some of the plays he makes, some of the passes he does, some of the goals he can score is just absolutely out of this world. How he doesn't get more points, more assists, more goals, I'll never understand. I think he's just unbelievably talented. He is unbelievable in the shootouts. He can play almost any position you need him to. He's versatile. He doesn't get injured a lot. I just think the world of him, and he will definitely be getting. I will definitely be getting another Donskoy jersey. Maybe the new black third jersey that the Sharks just released, which is nice. Moving on to number 1, though, not necessarily a surprise to anyone who's watched 2 or more of my videos. UC Jokinen. He's on a PTO with Detroit as I'm filming this. He's played relatively well in the preseason. He's got a lot of shots. I think he's trying to score more than he did last year, which was not a lot. He's still trying to prove that he can still play in this league, and he is by far my favorite player of all time. more so than Paul Correa or Mario Lemieux or Alex Tanguay. He will always be my favorite player, regardless if he doesn't make the Detroit and he retires at the end of the year or goes back to Finland. He will always be number one to me. I'm in the process of collecting all his jerseys. If he wouldn't have played for so many goddamn teams last year, I'd probably be there by now. Regardless if he makes Detroit or not, I'll be getting a Jokinen Detroit jersey with like the preseason fonts on the name bar. And biggest reason I want to get it is because he's wearing number 20. It's different from his usual number 36. But yeah, I might do a video kind of going in depth why Jokinen is my favorite player in the future. But as it stands right now, he is playing on a Detroit team, and he's in the NHL at this particular moment. So he is still eligible for my number one spot, and until he's not in the NHL, he will be here forever. Alright guys, thanks for watching. So that wraps up my favorite players list. So the first one I did the European players. The second video was my retired players, and this one is the current players. I know a lot of these players are kind of random and you're like, really, he likes those people? Really, he liked that guy? I tried to not overly cheer for too many of the big names. You know, I like Ovechkin, I like Malkin, Crosby's awesome. You know, there's a lot of really big players who are superstars that I do like. But I like to try to give some love to the players that might not necessarily get it on everyone else's list. So for that reason, you're going to see a lot of odd names. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I'll be doing the jersey giveaway next week. I'll figure out how to do that. I think I have next Wednesday off or something like that. Anyway, I'll get it figured out next week, so stay tuned for that, see if you want it. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say at this moment, guys. Thanks for watching. And once we get to the 300 subscribers, I'll try to give something else away. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again. Bye.